Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you here. This is Make Your Own Holiday with NBCU. My name is Emily. I am a program manager at Girls Right Now. I am so excited to have you here today with us. Today, we're going to be rethinking holiday traditions and creating our own holidays, really honoring our values and practicing culture keeping. I am really thrilled to introduce you to Brittany Barker. She's going to take you through opening lines, and I will be back in a bit. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Emily. Good afternoon, everybody. Excited to be here. And as Emily said, I want to welcome you all into this space. So one tradition that we have at Girls Right Now is to begin every session with opening lines, which is essentially our time to get warmed up and to prepare for the workshop. So in the spirit of the holiday season, we ask you to answer one of the questions, or actually you can answer at least two of them. You're going to take 10 minutes. We'll actually take 5, and then we're going to come back together and share out. All right, so thank you all for sharing. We're going to dive into the workshop soon, but I'm going to toss it back over to Emily so that we can welcome our NBCU employees into the space.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we are really excited to have some employees from NBCU here with us today, and they are going to talk a bit about their career, their professional journeys. So first we have Fahima Hussain, the corporate social responsibility intern. Fahima, are you here?
Yes. Hello.
There we go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fahima. I am a junior at Fordham University. I first was introduced to NBC Universal when I was part of the Minds Matter Media's Fellows, which I participated in because NBC Universal had a partnership with Minds Matter, and Media's Fellows motivated me to go into marketing consulting, where I helped organizations like come up with branding. And now I have the opportunity to help other organizations like Minds Matter create events for nonprofit organizations. Oh, I'm also majoring in marketing with a concentration in consulting.
Very, very cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Fahima. And then next we have Nefertali Deeb. I don't know if it is here.
Hi everybody.
Hi,
You can just call me Tally. Nefertali, Tally for short.
Great.
I'm so excited to be here. This is like my highlight of this week, to be here with all of you. One, I love all the things that we do with NBCU Nights, but 2, I also love writing. I think it's in my secret, maybe next phase of my life, to write a book or write some stories, just because I'm a voracious reader and I love everything about it. So my role at NBC Universal, I've been at the company for, gosh, it'll actually be 10 years, which is hard to believe, in June. The first 6 of which I was a news producer at NBC News. So I worked on the Today Show, Nightly News, Meet the Press, Dateline, all at the network news desk. So I was a producer there for nearly 6 years before I moved over to the DEI team. And for everyone who may not be aware of what that is, not unlike our corporate social responsibility team, we work really closely with our employees, but also with our external folks, and engagement to help change the landscape of our company, both what it looks like for us on TV and in films, but also what our workforce looks like. So making sure that there's some equity, and it's, so we all have an opportunity to come work at this amazing company, regardless of your ethnicity or your background, cultural background, or gender. So that's my role, working to make sure that that happens with our external partners, with our internal partners and colleagues, and yeah, so that's my role, that's my day-to-day, and I absolutely love it. I've been at it for nearly 4 years now, and my background is I did my undergrad in international politics and diplomacy, and then I went up doing my master's again also in international politics and diplomacy. Worked in the Scottish government for a little bit, and then made my way to NBC News, and I haven't looked back. So it's a nice way to incorporate all of it together. And I'll pass it on to Jennifer.
Yeah, exactly. Jennifer.
Well,
you-
thanks all.
Great.
Really excited to be here. My name is Jennifer, and I am a work reporter for CNBC Make It. So I like to think about it as the goal of my job is to report on and write about how people can feel more confident in their jobs and in their career and really kind of like steer their own ship and chart a path for themselves. So writing about work in the workplace can be very meta, but every day, basically, I get to bounce ideas off my editor and my colleagues about how people are thinking about work. Then I call up the experts and I get to ask them all kinds of questions. So that might mean talking to recruiters about, how to nail a virtual interview. So sometimes I do some of those servicey pieces. Sometimes I also get to hear from business leaders about how they're trying to make workplaces better. So especially now, that might look like more flexible work options for caregivers and parents, what leaders are doing to build more inclusive workplaces for underrepresented groups. And some other kind of big trending topics that I'm working on are stories of people who are quitting their jobs for better work and better pay, and also what the pandemic means for returning to working in person. I also really love kind of like more human interest stories. So I like hearing from workers about how they're feeling day to day. And I also have the pleasure of working on our Millennial Money, like video series where it's a deep dive into how people around the world spend and earn and manage their money. So that is kind of my job in a nutshell. I've been with Make It for about 2.5 years now. And I kind of got my start in journalism, I guess, after graduating from the University of Missouri and going through their journalism program. So that's kind of my background.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories and your professional journeys. I know they are really, really helpful for our mentees to hear. Mentees, if you do have any questions for the employees, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I want to turn it over to Elyse real quick.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elyse Miller. I am an associate on the corporate social responsibility team here at NBC Universal. I just wanted to thank you all for joining today. The past month has actually been our season of service. So we have had volunteer opportunities for the past month for NBC Universal employees. And this is actually our final opportunity. So we are so excited to close out season of service with all of you. Especially with Girls Right Now. We love working with this organization. And I love that we're working on a holiday feel before we all go out of the office and on break for school. So thank you all for coming, and we're excited to end season of service together.
Thank you so, so much, Elyse. We are thrilled to have you all here. And now I am excited to formally introduce you to your teaching artist for this workshop, Brittany Barker. If you have not been a part of a workshop with Brittany yet, congratulations on making a great decision to join today. She is fantastic. She is a mentee alum with Girls Right Now, so she's been exactly where you are, mentees. She is an incredible poet and educator and the creative director of Creative Soul House, a company that uses the arts and wellness as a pathway towards fulfillment, transformation, and liberation. She's done a ton with social emotional work and is a fantastic writer and a fantastic person to lead you through this workshop. I am so excited to turn it over to Brittany.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, happy to be here with you all. Thank you, NBCU, for being here and for volunteering your services to be with us. As we mentioned, this is a holiday workshop. So one thing I want you to keep in your mind is that it's just a chill time. We want you to relax and have fun. So let's dive in. So what we focused on in the opening lines was the differences in what the holidays mean to us. For some of us, it's a time of joy, it's a time of comfort and warmth. And for some of us, it's a time of remembrance. I know specifically for me, it's a time of belonging. I'm happy to be in community with my family and my closest friends. And it's also a time of gratitude. Someone had mentioned the act of gift giving, and then also opening yourself up to be a receiver of things. And so those are two things that definitely stand out to me when it comes to the holidays. I know for some of you, there might be a spiritual element involved with the holidays. And so we want to acknowledge that in this space and let you know that we are thinking of all the things that, I guess, cater to your experience during that time. So at Girls Right Now, we really love authenticity, and you know we have to add a spin. So today, I mean, instead of talking about a specific holiday, we're going to create our own. And one thing we want you to know is that this is something that's been done in the history of the United States. For example, any of you heard of Kwanzaa? So a little bit about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is actually a cultural tradition that was started less than 60 years ago. So someone, just like what we're going to do today, decided, I'm going to create my own tradition, my own holiday in celebration of something that I think is extremely important. Kwanzaa is a 7-day celebration. So it begins the day after Christmas and it stretches until January 1st into the new year. And it was started by a Black nationalist by the name of Maulana Karenga. The main goal of Kwanzaa is to empower and to unite communities of the African diaspora. But it was also created in response to some tensions that had been growing or brewing between law enforcement and residents in a community in California called Watts. So one thing that Karenga wanted to do was he wanted to shift the mindset of people during this time. So there was unlawful arrests or arrests that people believe were unjustifiable. And there was a lot of tension in cities outside of Watts. And he decided that instead of allowing people to focus on, you know, the negatives, things that were hard, he left room for that, but he wanted them to pivot and direct their energy to the values, to things that would bring the community together as opposed to dividing the community. And one thing he made sure of was to make it clear that this was not a religious holiday, it was a cultural holiday, which meant that people of all faiths, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, etc., could participate in this tradition because it was about principles and not necessarily about religion. So during this season, you may have seen these colors around. These colors are synonymous with like the Black Pride colors, red, green, and Black. And these are the 7 principles. And one of the traditions of Kwanzaa is for 7 candles to be lit. And they're each lit one day between December 26th and the 1st. And each day there's a specific tradition. So for example, let's see, Ujama, cooperative economics. Sometimes people go out and they celebrate or support businesses in their community. Kumba, creativity. Sometimes a family might get together and they might create gifts to give to each other that are handmade or hand designed. So these are the 7 principles that ground those who celebrate Kwanzaa within the holiday. Now, when you're creating your holiday in this workshop, it does not necessarily have to be like of the caliber of Kwanzaa. It could be something very quirky. It could be something very funny, such as a holiday from a TV show called Festivus. Any of you watch Seinfeld in here? All right, well, if you haven't, you're gonna get to know a little bit more about the characters in this short clip. But Festivus is a holiday tradition that was created by a father in this show. So take a look. And as you watch it, think about the 3 things that, is it George's father? George's father does to make Festivus a tradition. Enjoy.
Nothing, it's a card from my dad.
What is it? Dear son, happy Festivus? What is Festivus?
It's nothing, it's nothing.
When George was growing
Jerry,
up,
no.
his father
No.
hated all the commercial and religious aspects of Christmas,
Yeah.
so he made up his own holiday.
Oh, and another piece of the puzzle falls into place.
All right.
And instead of a tree, didn't your father put up an aluminum pole?
Jerry,
No.
stop it.
And then weren't there feats of strength that always ended up with you crying?
Can't take it anymore. I'm going to work. You happy now? I got your message.
I haven't celebrated Festivus in years. What is your interest?
Well, just tell me everything, huh?
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
That must have been some kind of doll.
She was. And at the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
And is there a tree?
No, instead there's a pole. Requires no decoration. I find tinsel distracting.
Frank, this new holiday of yours is scratching me right where I itch.
Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl space.
Oh, Frank.
All right, we're gonna stop it right there. Quick thoughts. Would any of you celebrate Festivus? Does Festivus resonate with you? Gotcha. So I'm happy Festivus resonates with some of you. So we wanted to show you just the spectrum of holidays that you can create. We want you to be extremely creative with this and just have fun. And the center of it is for you to think about what is worthy of celebrating during this time. So there's 3 things that both Mulana Karinga and George did in creating their holiday. So one is that the holiday definitely had a name. So you want to keep that in mind. The second thing is that there was an origin or a purpose. So while Kwanzaa was a reaction or is a reaction to racism and oppression, Festivus is a reaction to commercialism, and it gives those who celebrate it a safe space to air their grievances. So whatever it is that you would like to do, you can do that. Lastly, within the holiday, there's something to celebrate. So there's some kind of activity or ritual that is done. So in a moment, you're going to get time to create your own holidays. I want you to think about your opening lines. So your responses that you submitted in terms of what the holiday means to you. And if there's one thing that you could change, what would it be? Also consider, maybe if you are someone who has like a negative feeling regarding the holidays, how can you make it a more positive experience this season? We have 15 minutes, but have fun, take your time, and be as creative as possible. And this holiday could be whatever you want it to be. Let's begin. So something that we want you to keep in mind as you move into the holiday season is just to continue to move with intentionality. As we noticed, many of you are already doing it, and we want you to know that you have the power to like reshape the culture in your most intimate spaces. And that includes like the culture that you have with yourself. So whether your holiday was just for you, about taking time to pause, taking a bubble bath, and whatever it is that you might need to do to get in your zone, or if it was about larger spaces with more people, we want you to know that you have the power to create your own culture, and you are the keeper of it. So don't throw this idea in the garbage. We challenge you to bring it into fruition between now and this exact date next year.
Definitely follow us all on social. We are Girls Right Now on all platforms, even TikTok we've just added. So if you are on TikTok and you would like to follow us there, we'd love to see you. And yeah, thank you all so much for being a part of this workshop. It was fantastic to hear from you all.